Have you ever noticed how certain connections leave us marked in a way that's impossible to explain with words? Sometimes, without realizing it, we touch a nerve so sensitive within someone that instead of bringing us closer, it frightens them. What seemed to be blossoming begins to retreat. He starts to distance himself. And there you are wondering, what did I do wrong? But, my dear, maybe you didn't do anything wrong at all. Perhaps, for the first time, you did everything right. The angels guided me to you today with an urgent message. They want you to know that this sudden distance is not a sign of rejection. It's a sign of impact. You touched something very deep inside him, a place he had hidden even from himself. You awakened emotions he had locked away for years. He had been protecting himself with invisible armor, old fears, wounds that hadn't healed, beliefs that taught him not to trust too much, not to fully surrender. And then, you appeared. With your lightness, your sincere way, your light that doesn't need to prove anything. And he felt it. He felt something that unsettled him. Because you weren't just another presence in his life. You came like a mirror. And what he saw there, reflected in the way you looked at him, in the patience you showed, in the affection you gave without expecting immediate return, was more than he was prepared to see. He saw the possibility of real love. And that, my dear, can be as frightening as it is wonderful. He started to pull away not because you did something wrong, but because you got it right. You reached his heart without asking for permission, without making a fuss. You gently touched a forgotten corner of his soul. And now he's grappling with that. He's trying to understand why he feels so much. Why he can't forget you. Why the smile you gave days ago still echoes inside him. The angels show that he is in a moment of internal conflict. And this sometimes manifests as silence, absence, or coldness. But don't be fooled. Behind that restrained behavior lies a whirlwind of emotions. He may be trying to rationalize things, convincing himself that it's better to keep his distance, that it's safer to pull away before the involvement becomes irreversible. But the truth is, he's already involved. He has already been touched. You've already entered his life. And now he is trying to protect himself from what is already inevitable. There exists a force between you that cannot be ignored. An energy that draws him to you, even when he tries to run away. And the more he fights against it, the more exhausted he feels. Because it's not easy to contain a feeling that originates from the soul. It's not easy to suppress something that resonates so deeply. The angels want you to understand. It is not your role to convince him of anything. You don't need to chase after him, diminish yourself, or prove your worth. What you have is real, and time will show this. Your role now is to trust. To stand firm in your light. To continue being that woman who inspires, who embraces, who transforms without imposing. You have already done what needs to be done. You touched him. You touched him with your essence, with your truth, with your courage to feel. And even if he is distant now, even if the silence seems to shout louder than words, something is happening inside him. A transformation. You know that moment when a seed starts to germinate beneath the soil, unseen by anyone? That's what is happening with him. On the outside, everything may seem stagnant. But on the inside, the awakening has begun. It's possible that he needs time. That he will come and go a few times. That he will test his own emotional limits before he can fully surrender. But the angels ask that you do not doubt. He feels. And more than that, he knows. He knows that you are different. That what you experienced, no matter how brief or intense, was real. He might try to pretend that he doesn't feel anything. He can distract himself with other things. He can tell himself that it's not the right time. But deep down, He carries you. And as time goes by, he will realize that he is not running away from you. He is running away from himself. The distance is not an end. It's a pause. A desperate attempt to understand what has already been understood by the heart. You don't need to passively wait. Use this time to return to yourself, to care for yourself with even more love, to strengthen your connection with spirituality. Because when he comes back, and the angels assure that he will, you will be even more whole, more ready, more secure in your worth. And he will realize that, even though he stepped away, he never left his place inside you. Because those who love with their soul do not get lost. They find themselves again. This distance is, in fact, a calling, an invitation for him to mature, face his fears, and choose, consciously, the path of love. And you, my dear, just need to keep being you. Because you have already done enough. You touched something in him, and that is something no one else can undo. He hasn't come back. And yes, maybe you are tired of wondering why. Your head spins, your heart feels, the days go by, and he remains distant, quiet, as if nothing has happened, as if what you shared was just another ordinary moment. But you know it wasn't. You feel it with a certainty that no one else needs to give you. The energy between you is still there, even if everything seems disconnected. And what you perceive is not an illusion. It's real. You feel it because it was different. This isn't an ordinary story. It's not the kind of fleeting connection that disappears at the first sign of trouble. What you two created, no matter how small it may have been, affected you both. He might pretend he's forgotten, that he's moved on, that he's moved past it. But he hasn't forgotten. He felt it too. And now he's dealing with it in the way he knows how. By pulling away. By staying quiet. By shutting down. And no, it's not about pride. It's not because he's playing games or trying to provoke you. It's because he doesn't know how to handle it. When you showed up, you touched on something he had been avoiding for years. That hidden place inside him that he didn't even know how to face. You didn't invade. You simply were yourself. You came with your transparent, sincere, present way of being. And that shook him more than you can imagine. The truth is he wasn't ready. Ready to feel so much. Ready to give himself fully. Ready to see that the connection between you was too deep to be controlled. And instead of diving in, he pulled back. Because it's easier to hide than to deal with feelings that don't fit into what he has always believed to be possible. He spent his whole life learning to keep a distance from what hurts, to avoid what disrupts the control. And you, without knowing, took that away. You made him see himself like never before. The way you looked at him, as if seeing beyond the surface, left everything exposed. He couldn't hide. Not in front of you. And that scared him. He wasn't prepared for someone who didn't need elaborate explanations to understand what he feels. Someone who didn't demand, didn't pressure, but simply felt. Now he is silent. And maybe that hurts you more than any word ever could. Because silence is heavy. Because you opened up, you gave truth, and even then, he pulled back. You want to understand. To do something. To seek. To demand. But deep down, you already know. He needs to go through this. He needs this time with himself. To face what you awakened in him. To accept that love is not a threat. That being vulnerable doesn't mean being weak. That feeling is what makes him human. You weren't too much. You weren't hasty. You weren't too intense. You were simply authentic. And that, in a world full of shallow relationships, is what scares the most. You showed him a different possibility. To be with someone without games. To be embraced. to be seen. And as contradictory as it may seem, that made him run away. He doesn't know how to act with someone who doesn't demand, who doesn't pressure, who doesn't force. Because he has gotten used to relationships where he needed to protect himself all the time, where fear was what guided him. And you came calmly, with presence, with truth. You arrived whole. And because of that, he withdrew. Because he doesn't yet know how to be whole too. You made him question himself. You made him miss you before even leaving. He doesn't understand why he remembers you in the simplest moments of the day. He doesn't understand why a part of him insists on searching for you in his thoughts, even when he tries to convince himself that moving on is the right thing to do. He tries to occupy his mind, distract himself, pretend that everything is fine. But it's not. And you feel it. Because the connection between you two is not one that breaks with absence. It's not one that dissolves over time. It's still there. Even on the most confusing days. Even when he tries to hide it. Even when you doubt. It's alive. It's present. It's pulsating. You don't need to chase after him. You don't need to insist. Your role was never to force a path. Your role was to show. And you showed. You showed that there is love without pressure. You showed that there is presence without expectation. You showed that it's possible to feel without losing yourself. And even though he may be distant now, he saw that in you. He felt it. And that feeling, no matter how much he tries to bury it, doesn't disappear. Because it's not just any feeling. Because it's not ordinary. Because it's not merely about passion or desire. It's something deeper. Something that can't be expressed in words. Something that, once felt, changes everything. You did your part. You were whole. You were genuine. And now, it's him who needs to find himself. To understand himself. To allow himself. It may take time. He might resist a bit longer. But this process has already begun. And you don't need to do anything other than keep being you. Maybe he needs to lose himself a little to find himself. Maybe he needs to explore his own limits until he realizes that no path he chooses will compare to what he experienced with you. Maybe he needs a few more signs that love is not a prison, but freedom. And that's okay. This is his time. But you don't need to freeze your life for that. You don't need to stop living while waiting for someone who is still trying to understand himself. Keep loving. Keep taking care of yourself. Keep creating beauty around you. Because, even from a distance, your light reaches him. Even without words, your presence resonates in his soul. The angels reveal that he misses you in the little things. In the way you smiled with your eyes. In how you truly listened to him. In the ease of your company. In the peace he felt by your side. And even if he doesn't admit it, he feels an emptiness when he realizes you are no longer there like before. Because, as much as he tries to deceive himself, he knows that no other connection was as genuine as the one he had with you. At times, he may even try to test you, sending mixed signals, provoking, disappearing, and reappearing. This isn't malice. It's confusion. It's a reflection of the internal battle he is fighting. And the angels urge you to stay strong, to not engage in this game, to not sacrifice your peace to fit into another person's emotional chaos. You weren't called to beg for attention, but to be remembered as unforgettable, to be the one who left an impact, not by insistence, but by essence. And my dear, that's exactly who you already are. Distance, no matter how painful, is also a space for healing. For both him and you. It's in this interval that hearts understand what true love is. Where masks fall off. Where truths are revealed. And the deepest truth the angels want to remind you of today is, the love you offered was a rare gift. He may have withdrawn, but he hasn't forgotten. He will remember you on good days, wishing he had you to share them with. And on bad days, wishing he had you to comfort him. He will recall when he hears that song you both enjoyed together. When he passes by a place that evokes the scent of your perfume. When he meets someone who doesn't smile like you do. He will remember because, of all the encounters he has had, none has been as genuine as the one he had with you. And one day, when the fear isn't so overwhelming, when he is ready to shed his defenses and truly open up, he will come back. Not out of neediness. Not out of regret. But because he will finally understand that you were the best thing that ever happened to him. The angels ask you to continue in faith. To trust the process. To turn this time of absence into a time for personal growth. Because the universe is always watching. And what is true never gets lost. It simply matures. Your angels are around you now, whispering to your heart, you touched something in him. And that was divine. That was love. And when this reunion happens, because yes, it is part of the divine plan, it will be different. It won't be another emotional game of hide and seek, nor a minefield of doubts and fears. It will be the arrival of someone who has finally understood what it means to love wholeheartedly. Someone who has traversed the valley of their own shadows and returned more aware, stronger, more complete. And you won't be the same either. You will have learned to prioritize yourself, to set boundaries with love, to not compromise your peace for anyone. You will have realized that those who are light do not need to chase after those who insist on living in darkness. You will be even wiser, even more connected to your essence. And that will be beautiful to see. The angels show that the distance was part of a bigger plan. That sometimes, souls need space to understand what the heart already knows. He needed this time to realize that what you experienced was not ordinary. That you were not just another person. You were the turning point. You were the pivotal moment in his journey. This distance is paving the way for a more conscious reunion. A more genuine one. Without illusions, without idealizations, without walls. And the angels want you to trust this process. Because they are taking care of every detail. They are working behind the scenes in both of your lives, preparing the right moment, the right words, the signs that will guide you back to each other. And even if the reunion doesn't happen exactly as you imagine, know that the purpose of all this is already being fulfilled. You were sent into his life for a sacred reason, to awaken love, to awaken healing, to awaken the truth. Now is the time to take care of your garden, to cultivate your light, to honor yourself. Because everything you desire, a light, deep, reciprocal love, starts within you. The angels remind you, when you love yourself deeply, the world responds with more love. And when he returns, and he will, he won't be the same man who left. He will be someone who has finally understood that true love doesn't scare, it embraces. That those who touch the soul stay. That running away from a connection like this is running away from oneself. You have been a mirror for him, and you continue to be. A mirror of what he can be, what he can feel, what he can experience. And the brighter you shine, the more he will remember your presence. So today, receive this message as a sacred reminder. You are love. You are light. You are healing. And everything that is true always finds its way back. If he has stepped back, it's because you touched something very deep. And that, my dear, is more powerful than any physical presence. Keep trusting. Keep vibrating in love. Because the angels are by your side, guiding this story with invisible, yet perfectly aware, hands. And the ending of this story, will still be beautiful.